This video was made in association with African Custom Knives. ACK is the leading US-based purveyor of South African handmade cutlery. Head over to AfricanCustomKnives.com for exclusive deals on rare custom knives. What is up, everybody, and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at these Trevor Burger EXKs. Now, I believe these are the LEXKs, which is the large version of the knife. And this is the base model with carbon fiber, and this is the titanium frame lock version of the model. I believe both of these are brand new from New York Custom Knife Show, but I know this one is for sure. And both of these are available for sale through African Custom Knives. Now, to remind everybody, these videos with these 5 knives here are just showcases, not full reviews. These are brand new knives, which I have not carried, and I'm really just giving you guys kind of an overview and what I think about stuff like the action and the ergonomics. So let's go ahead and jump in. This is the base model, and it is running on washers. Take a look at the hand rub satin finish. Very beautiful, in typical South African fashion. We have a single side titanium frame, with the other side of the frame being full carbon fiber, and then a carbon fiber scale on the lock side. So this is a single side liner lock. We do have a titanium pressed clip with matching anodizing, and the red ribbon, again in sort of typical South African fashion. And we are looking at a black G10 backspacer. This knife is super light. Let's go ahead and actually weigh both of these. So first of all, this piece is only 2.57 ounces. This is a super light knife, and it's, fairly large. And so that's a really great carry for anybody that's looking for something lighter. Maybe you need to put something in a suit pocket or something like that, but you still need something that's a little bit larger and functional. Really great weight on this knife. And then let's check out what the titanium frame lock is while we're at it. At 3.8 ounces, it's definitely a little bit heavier, but it will give you that more premium, sort of supreme feel versus the base model. And of course, if you're looking for a frame lock, then this is what is going to serve you. Now, we do not have any internal milling, so that is where a lot of that weight comes from as well. Titanium, of course, being a fairly light metal. But let's get the scale out of the way and keep taking a look at the base model. So I really want to highlight the fact that, this knife is on washers, but it is incredibly smooth, and it has a really, really fantastic action. So let's start with the deployment. It's super, super snappy. I think by now you guys can probably hear just how snappy it is. It's got a great sound when it slams into that stop pin, and it's just really, really solid. I'm not a big washers guy, but I could easily see myself owning this knife. Now, in terms of, like dropping shut, you can shake it shut. It's, fairly light knife. It's not too difficult to do this, but it's not incredibly smooth. It's not like a Jason Guthrie that's actually going to drop. So while you can shake it shut, that's not really where it shines, though it is incredibly smooth. The tolerances are really solid. You can see, you can't really even see in between the blade and the frame. So it's really, really fantastic. Of course, you can pull on the front of the knife like this. Oh, that's my fault. And you get that really snappy action. And then you can use your thumb as well, kind of going straight back. Super, super snappy. Sometimes on the really, really hard hits, you get just a little bit of lock stick when it kind of over travels, but for the most part, there's no lock stick on any normal flips. And the failed deployments that you're seeing are not the fault of the knife. It's just, front flippers can be a little bit more difficult, and so if you're not super familiar with a particular front flipper, you will have a couple failed deployments here and there. Not a big deal. So yeah, overall a really incredible knife. I would actually really consider owning one of these. Trevor Burger is definitely on my list, and for washers, I'm like super impressed with this knife. The carbon fiber is pretty soft, pretty clean. Not my favorite carbon fiber weave. It's a little bit basic, but this is the basic version of the knife, so that's fair enough. Let's move on to the frame lock. Now, the frame lock has some interesting characteristics. The first of which are these blue titanium pivot collars that are kind of done at a beveled degree. You can see they're different. We have a small pivot on this side with a thick pivot collar and a large pivot on this side with a thin pivot collar. Fun, interesting character. And overall, we have a super simple and smooth look on this frame lock. We do have contoured titanium frame scales. What am I trying to say? We do have a floating blue titanium backspacer as well. Always love a floating backspacer. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool futuristic look. Keeps it, simple but classy, yet still elegant and interesting. The clip is going to function very well. Great amount of tension, great ramp, but nubby enough to, hang on in your pocket. He's got this tiny little circle cut out for the lock bar, and that's hidden. See it right there. Kind of a neat touch. And we already checked out the weight on this knife, so again, let's talk about the action. These knives have really good ergonomics. They're the same shape. I don't really have to even explain the ergos on this one, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. Cradles very well up here, cradles very well down here. I feel confident, the jimping's good, it gives me a lot of grip, and this forward sort of downward facing angle is not perfect, but it's enough for the feeling of safety. And it just fits really well in the hand. I really like this knife. Again, a beautiful hand rub satin finish on the blade. This knife is running on bearings. It is the more premium version of the knife. But ultimately, I wouldn't say it's much smoother. He did a really good job on these washers, and these bearings need to be broken in a little bit. It feels like the track is smooth, but maybe not quite as smooth as it possibly could be. So I do believe that some break-in is going to be helpful to this knife. You can see it's a little bit smoother. It doesn't take nearly as much shaking to get it to close as the washers, but it's also not a fall shut looseness either. So do keep that in mind. Really snappy deployment, though. I mean, I would say the area that these two knives really shine in is deployment. They, I think for a front flipper to be successful and to be entertaining for the owner, that the deployment is really the most important thing on a front flipper. And it can be really easy to execute it poorly. It can be really easy to give a knife too light of a detent or make it too tight to really kind of make it all the way into the deployed position. So I have to say that's an area where Trevor has really shined on these knives, is that the deployment is super solid. You can do it any way you want. It's super loud, super satisfying, super authoritative, very snappy, very consistent, and overall I like it a lot. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Again, this is just a showcase of these brand new knives that are available for sale through African Custom Knives. If you are interested in purchasing them, you can of course reach out to me or directly to African Custom Knives via Instagram or email. And then of course they should be up on their website shortly after I mail them back to the gentleman in Baton Rouge. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.